Is Freemasonry a secret society? Well, that's a question that's up for debate, but a better question is, why is Freemasonry a secret society, if it is a secret society? Is Freemasonry a secret society? It's a question that rages in debate even amongst other Freemasons. Some people say, yes, we're a secret society. Some say, no, we're not a secret society. We're a society with secrets. I personally prefer to say that we're not either a secret society or a society with secrets. We are a society that has a few private elements. I try and shy away from the word secret in the modern context. Secret is an old word and it has a lot of different meanings. And when Freemasons say it, they're using a different meaning than the one that we're familiar with today. Today, when we think about secrets, we think about something bad or nefarious, something that's going on that shouldn't be. It's happening behind closed doors. Freemasons can't be a secret society altogether by virtue of the fact that there's big buildings with squares and compasses on them. There are, YouTube channels. And in fact, we'd love it if you would subscribe to this YouTube channel. And meetings are published in papers. They give out scholarships. So if we're trying to be a secret society, then we're doing a terrible job. Now, the question is Masonry a society with secrets? I prefer to stay away from the term secret altogether because it just has that nefarious connotation. Most of the lessons and the quote-unquote secrets and teachings of Freemasonry are found in the Holy Bible, so they're not really secrets. And that word in and of itself, it's time we get rid of it. And I know there are a lot of brothers who will disagree with me. And brothers, if you can, comment below and tell me why. But let's talk about why Freemasonry has secrets. We have to remember that Freemasonry actually began hundreds of years ago in the Stone Masons Guild. So in other words, it started as stone masonry. And they had secrets for a very important reason. These were trade secrets, valuable secrets on how to build buildings, how to make things beautiful and structurally sound, and all of those trade secrets that many companies still employ today. Trade secrets are really important to every single business. And if you don't believe me, ask Coca-Cola or certainly check with Colonel Sanders. By the way, Brother Harlan Sanders was a Freemason. None of us know what the secret recipe for Coca-Cola is, and yet Americans guzzle Coke by the gallon. And the 11 herbs and spices, while I think 9 of them are salt and the other 2 are pepper, it's the Colonel and a handful of other people that really know what the secret recipe is and what it's all about. So the original secrets of Freemasonry were trade secrets in those craft guilds. Now, we have to also remember that Masons used to have to travel from town to town. Once you've been in a town and you've built the church and you've built the bookstore and you've built the bakery and you've built all of those things, if you want to keep earning a living as a Mason, you have to go to the next town. And when you get there, in order to be able to fit into that guild or that lodge, you had to be able to prove that you were a Mason. People were not really literate. They didn't carry around diplomas. They didn't have certifications. There was no LinkedIn. So to prove that they were legit, they had to give the password and the secret handshake and all of those kinds of things in order to demonstrate that they were genuinely Masons and genuinely a part of the club. Those traditions have held up. Now, the idea that there is this secret society that's out there secretly controlling things is pretty much laughable where Freemasonry is concerned. The Illuminati and all of that nonsense we've talked about on previous videos, so go ahead and click that link if you want to know more about that nonsense. But because people believe that Freemasons are secretly some kind of puppet masters behind closed doors, it has caused people who have some mental health issues to behave very poorly towards Freemasons. Recently, several Masonic lodges in the country have been attacked. A Masonic lodge in Greece was recently firebombed. It's just an absolute tragedy. And so to talk about Freemasonry and its secrets and the idea that this secret society is controlling things is happening, to talk about that, I sat down with our Grand Archivist, Brother Arturo de Hoyos, to talk about this very subject, and it hits very close to home for him. There's been some tragedy recently in the Masonic world, and one struck pretty close to home for you at your home lodge a brother was gunned down in front of the lodge for no other reason than he was a Mason.
That's correct. Brother Robert Weiss, a new officer of my personal lodge in Texas, McAllen Lodge number 1110, was murdered.
And you're a past master there.
I am a past master. That's my mother lodge, of which I'm a past master. He was murdered for, as you say, no other reason than the fact that he was a Mason. He was leaving the lodge building and approached his pickup truck. And from what I understand, his murderer lay in wait and filmed himself murdering this brother. It's a great tragedy, but I can tell you, I'm sure you've seen on the internet also, there was a tremendous outpouring of sympathy. Just hundreds and hundreds of brothers have expressed their sorrow and their outrage at this. And although the family initially asked for an amount to help them cover the funeral expenses, it's been paid for at least 5 times over with the generosity of people simply out of the love and concern for this brother.
Days later, there was arson incident in El Paso at the Scottish Rite building in El Paso, Texas. There have been lodges, and I don't want to highlight each and every one. I'm talking about some of the larger ones. A couple of years ago, I think it was 2021 in Canada, there were some lodges that were all burned down. It's happened all over the country, all over North America, sadly. And then there was another situation in Greece, wasn't there? There was a lodge that was attacked.
That's right. The front of the Supreme Council building. Fortunately, it was only superficial damage. But, I don't want to call this a trend because I hope it's not.
Sure.
But, unfortunately, there are disturbed people that, for whatever reason, their belief system allows them to commit atrocities like this.
And I guess there's my question, what is it that is so in conflict in Masonry with anyone? I mean, it just must be, and I hate to say it this way, but there must be mental illness or something at play here, because Masons that are, a lodge that's visible in the community is, I would say, I'll go ahead and say 100% of the time doing good things for the community. And if they are a visible lodge, what would possess someone other than some type of illness or defect to?
It has to be. Of course, it's not the fraternity. It's people's perceptions. I think that by and large, the people that commit these kinds of acts are people that have either a mental illness or their worldview is so distorted. Maybe they're incapable of finding their place in the world, and they're frustrated. And they believe the nonsense that you sometimes find on the internet, that there's a cabal of persons, and quite frequently that cabal has been alleged to be Freemasons. I mean, we saw, anti-Masonry has existed as long as the fraternity has existed.
Obviously, we have the big examples, the Morgan Affair, the Taxel hoax. Are those the seeds of this? Is that where this comes from? Is there, at least here in the United States?
Even before that, there was the Illuminati scare, of course, which we discussed on an earlier interview.
People don't believe when you say, hey, this is the truth. Here we can prove this is the truth. Here's the paperwork. Google for yourself. You don't have to trust Art and Maynard. You don't need to. You could look it up. And yet they say, well, you guys have got it all hidden. It's just that's where the disconnect is.
The mistaken notion that if somebody keeps something confidential, that it's necessarily a bad thing.
I hate that. That's why I hate when we say that it's secret. I prefer the term private when I discuss it, because I feel like it's more appropriate. Secret does have that nefarious connection to it, whereas private is what goes on in your bedroom with your loved one, with your spouse, with your partner. That is private.
That's right.
It's not that big of a secret. What goes on in the bathroom, it's not that big of a secret.
Everybody knows what happens there, but a man of honor does not discuss it.
Exactly that. There was a time in operative Masonry history, and when we're remembering that we came from those craft guilds, that protecting the secrets of the builder's trade, to protect the integrity of the guild so that they could be hired for work, was important.
Yep. That was one of the things that was fun for me personally in the introduction to my book, Porch in the Middle Chamber, was explaining how many guilds there were and how they all, of necessity, had craft secrets.
Do we think that the quote unquote secret element of Freemasonry is what drives that, because there's that unknown and people fill in the blank with their own craziness?
Yeah, I think that's driven more by that. I think that the notion that there is a group that possesses some type of secrets. And if you look at YouTube, for example, which I do, I've noticed that there are websites or channels that have nothing to do with Freemasonry, but they say things like 33rd degree secret Masonic knowledge or 33rd degree knowledge. And you look at that and it has nothing to do with Freemasonry, but it has to do with everything else. And so there's this notion that the higher up you are in a Masonic system.
That's another thing I hate. The higher up. There is no higher up.
The higher up you are in a Masonic system, the more secret knowledge you have, where you're accused of being reptilian. And we've seen this recently, of controlling the world banks, things like this. And so I can understand how a desperate person in frustration would like to lash out at what he perceives to be the organizations that are keeping him from having a happy life. But in point of fact, it's not us. The world's a tough place to live in. And, finding someone else to blame for your problems isn't a healthy thing to do.
Indeed, indeed. And our prayers go out to the brother and his family and to those who've suffered injury and loss because of these attacks. And we'll just pray that there aren't any more of those. So are we a secret society? I say no. All of our buildings are very clearly marked and they're all well lit and all of those things that say Masonic Lodge right on it. We've got a YouTube channel that I hope you will subscribe to right now. Click the subscribe, turn on the notifications. Don't forget to do that. We also advertise on television and in the newspaper. There are Facebook ads. So we're not a secret society. Are we a society with secrets? Well, there's an argument to be made that yes, we are. But again, I prefer to get away from the term secret and use the term private. I think it fits a lot better. But brothers, I want to know what you think. So if you're a Mason, drop your comments below. Give us a thumbs up on the video. And don't forget to turn on those notifications. I'm Maynard Edwards. We'll catch you next time.